How's it going, everybody? Everything looking good? Working, Jersey? Sweet, thank you. Hello, Paul. Welcome. Well, I'd like to welcome everybody out tonight. Hope everyone's doing good. I don't know about where you guys are at, but the weather here is being nuts. It'll be like in the 90s, and then the next day it'll be in the high 50s and low 60s, and it'll be like that for a couple of days, and it'll go back to the 90s again. So you don't know whether you're going to put on shorts or a coat when you get up in the morning. Hello, Rick. All right. Well, as usual, there's a link in the description where you can download the tabs for what we're going to be going over tonight, so that you can follow along. And as you can probably already tell by the thumbnail and then by seeing this video of the disappointment that I'm not really Tom Petty, but we are going to do a Tom Petty song. And it's not just going to be just a song. We're actually going to use a part of it to kind of make a lesson out of it. So kind of killing two birds with one stone. 12 degrees Celsius. Holy crap. All right, so yeah, so be sure to get the tabs so you can follow along and all that good stuff. And if you like, the song that we're doing, it's uh-oh. I don't know if y'all can hear me right now. Tell me if it's still working, because I'm getting that same error that I keep getting that says that the internet is unstable. Crap. So you can still, everything's good, because it's weird as it says that the connection's unstable and it's reconnecting and all this crap. I don't know why it's doing that. But anyway, yeah, so the song it's Breakdown. I didn't realize that it doesn't actually have it does in the title, Breakdown. Yeah, but that's the song. So we're going to be doing like the rhythm guitar part, but we're also going to go through and like learn the little melodies, little lead melodies and stuff he does. And that's kind of like where the lesson part of this is where it's going to come in. So, yeah, we're going to break down. Yeah. Hello, Dennis. Welcome. Yeah. So, if you're familiar with the song, and I don't know how, unless you've, been on a desert island for the last, 40 years or whatever, I don't know how you wouldn't know the song, but like kind of the main driving rhythm instrument is the keyboards, that organ. So the way that I'm going to show you this rhythm part is the way that I used to do it way back in the really early 90s. I played in this cover band called Renegade. It was kind of funny. I ended up getting hooked up with it because my older sister was friends with them, and they needed a guitar player, and I basically just showed up to a gig and just started playing and played with them for a couple of years. But I used to call them the Geezers, and they were younger then than I am now. So it's kind of funny. But anyway, we didn't have a keyboard player. So I kind of did like just kind of more with the guitar to kind of cover that. So that's how I'm going to show you how to play it the way that I did it back then. So it's pretty simple on the verses. Actually, for the whole song, there's only 3 chords in the whole song. So we've got A minor and G and F. Whoops. So with the F, there's different ways that you can play it, just kind of depending on your skill level, your comfort level, or just what you like to do. Some people just really like to play F with the full-on bar chord. You can play it that way. You can play just the top end of it. This is probably the easiest way. So if you're a beginner, this is probably the way you'd want to do it. But that's just third finger on the 3rd fret of the D string, 2nd finger on the 2nd fret of the G string, and then your 1st finger barring the 1st fret of the B and the high E string. Now, when I play it, I like to put that low C in there too. So I just do the same thing up here up top, but I swap out my pinky for my 3rd finger, then put my 3rd finger on the C there on the 3rd fret of the A string. I just like the way that it's just kind of a fuller sound. I like the way it sounds better. All right, so for the intro and for most of the verse, it's just A minor and G. So on the original, you listen to it, just that keyboard just going bum, 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 and it's kind of it's not really filling the air like with a lot of sound. But so when you play it on your guitar, it's a lot different. So I do this A minor, and it's on the downbeat of 1. So it's beat number 1. It's quarter note. So I do 1, and then on the downbeat of 2, I just do a percussive strum. So if you don't know how to do that, there's a couple of different ways you can do it, but I kind of combine the 2 together. I found that this way is the most, you're kind of covering the bases on both ends. So if you do them separately, sometimes it leaves room for error. This way, it's almost impossible to screw it up. So I do and then I release the pressure of the chord. So I've still got my fingers in the shape, but I'm just touching the strings. And then when I come in to do the strum, I lay this part of my hand down across the strings, like literally like a second before the pick hits. So that way it's all muted. So you got that 1, 2, and then on the end of 2, we strum G, and it's a dotted quarter note. So it takes all of the end of 2 plus all of beat 3, and then on beat 4 we strum it again. So it's like, and then it just repeats. So that's 1 measure long, and that part is repeated 1,000,000 times at the beginning of it for the intro, and then through most of the verse, just that. Just like that. So again, it's a little bit different from the original, but I think it really works. It works really well, I think. I mean, we played it that way for, like for the 2 years or so that I played with them. Yeah, that's like the main part of the well, it's the whole intro and most of the verse. So it actually is all of page 1. And man, these tabs, having to do them in this format sucks because I don't know. I hate it. I wish it could just be like a PDF. Yeah. So then when it gets to the verse, so on the top of page 2 is where it goes into the verse. Burning hot with 100% humidity. Boy, that sounds wonderful. Yeah, that sounds terrible. Yeah, well, good luck with that, Don. Thanks for joining us. Oh yeah, so then once it goes into the verse and he starts singing, the inside of your love. I'm not gonna sing, but you get the idea. It repeats that a bunch of times. I love you running away. I get the feeling you won't. So it goes to when you go, the feeling you won't. So he goes to that F, and it's a whole note tied to a whole note. So it gets 8 counts. So you're like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it just goes right back into the verse again, and then and then we have the chorus part of it. But before we do the chorus, does anybody have any questions thus far about this or other guitar related stuff? Because that's what it's all about, seeing if I can, answer your questions, help you out with anything. And if you like what I'm doing, hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel, all that stuff. I come on and do this every week. And also do 2 or 3 just regular YouTube videos on this channel every week too. Am I doing the riff? You mean the? Then yes, that's actually what we're going to look at next, and that's the part where I was saying at the beginning that it would be, I'd be able to kind of make a just sort of a lesson out of it, out of that particular riff. So when we get there, we'll talk about that, but should be helpful, especially for any of you that were here for any of the times when I did pentatonic stuff and I talked about the patterns that I use that are, instead of being these box patterns, I use that one, but then there's these ones that move more kind of vertically across or horizontally rather across the fretboard. So we're going to kind of compare it to that, just so if you've worked with any of that stuff, I think it'll help. All right, so let's take a look at that little melody thing. It's kind of like the main melody here at the beginning of the song. It gets stuck in your head. All right, so if we look at the very beginning of this on page 1, oh, thank you, Paul. I appreciate that. It's funny is that I'm playing through the most bare bones basic setup that I probably have. The amp that I'm playing through, I rescued it out of a dumpster. It works, but it's not really functioning the way that it should. I'd show you, but I don't want to have to move it, because if you bump it, it makes horrible noises. But it's funny is that when you can get it, as long as you don't bump into or whatever, it actually has a pretty good sound to it. But yeah, there's something wrong with it, because with the volume turned all the way down on the amp, it's still like really loud. Like it doesn't. There's something wrong with it. It doesn't work the way it's supposed to. Yeah, but anyway, if you look at the beginning of this, it's a duet. So staff 1, guitar 1 is the rhythm, that just A minor to G thing. And then the lead guitar comes in before it goes into that melody. It's just kind of got these little, kind of cool little licks. So what this is where I'm going to start with talking about the like kind of the lesson, like pentatonic lesson that this is going to entail. So this song is in A, right? So we could use A minor pentatonic to like solo over it or whatever. And these notes that are being played out of this melody are out of that scale. So when you have the 5 positions of the pentatonic, and you may or may not know that. At the point, it doesn't really matter. So this is pattern 1, and then you just have another pattern that starts off of pattern 2, and it ends up just being the same notes, but you're just playing in different positions. So I'll just kind of summarize what I talked about on the other videos. That when I first was learning lead, it was a lot of Black Sabbath stuff. And Tony Iommi uses all these sequences that ends up being this pentatonic scale pattern like that. Or so I call those patterns 2 and 3, and kind of, made a system for connecting pattern 1 and pattern 2 and 3 together. So it basically gives you so you can play over a large area of the neck in any key. It's I think the lesson was just called like connecting pentatonic patterns or something like that. It was just a couple of months ago. If you haven't seen it, I recommend it. It'll make more sense. But so how I've got this in the transcription is the way he's actually playing it, but I'm going to show you an alternative way to do it too. So I'm not going to play the way it's written. I'm just going to play it the melody, but I'm going to use like a different position for doing it. So that's all right out of that pattern. But the way he's actually doing it is. Now, one thing that sounds different is because of those slides. But if I even just picked it and went. It's the same notes, but since it's arranged this way, this is out of what I would call pattern 3. So key of A minor, so pattern 1 starts on A. So pattern 2 would start on A, pattern 3 would start on A. But this one, pattern 3, it starts on the A here. And then there's those notes that he's playing all right out of there. And to me, it just made a lot more sense to kind of look at it that way with what I call pattern 2 and 3. Not that the other way isn't great. I mean, people have been doing it that way for, since the beginning, but I just feel that the other way is easier. All right. So when you're playing these riffs and stuff, it's kind of weird where they come in. So on the intro, you got the first measure. So now we're looking at guitar 2. So we're looking at the second staff. So we rest on the first measure, and then we rest the first 2.5 beats. And then on the end of 3, we hit the 8th fret there on the high E string. And then we're going to go to the 10th fret with our 3rd finger on the B string and our 1st finger on the 8th. So you want to move them both down to that string at the same time, because we're going to pick, pull, and then go to the 9th fret of the G string with your 2nd finger. And that's a triplet. So this is like 1, 2, 3, and 4 yellow, or triple it. The way I count triplets is I'll say the number of what beat and then the word yellow, because 2 syllables. 1 yellow, 2 yellow. All right, so we have that. And 4 yellow, 1 and 2, 3, E, and then we rest. So, whoops. And then we rest again. So it's just kind of a little subtle little thing that he throws in there right at the very beginning riff. Hello, Crit. Glad you could make it. Wow, that song came out in 76. I didn't think that it was that. I didn't think it was that old. I didn't realize that album came out that long ago. Man. Oh, okay, Crit. I'll check it out. I don't know what has been going on. My all Google services lately have just been really whack. Okay, so after you do that, if you're playing, guitar too. All right, Don, thank you for joining us. Okay, you do that, and then you rest. And 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we go down on the next staff. So we're at measure 5. We rest another whole measure, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to start that actual melody. All right. So for that melody, we start off on the 10th fret of the B string, and you could use your first finger, whatever is more comfortable for you. I use my second. Actually, you probably should use your second finger because of the note that's coming next. So this is the stuff I never think about how I'm doing it until I'm explaining it. So that's why half the time I talk to myself, as I'm explaining it. I'm like, oh yeah, okay. And then I figure out how it is that I'm doing it. Mike Campbell is the man. Hi, Dennis. Is Mike Campbell the guy, the lead player for Tom Petty? I'm terrible at remembering names, but that sounds right. If so, he's like super underrated. He's on my list of like underrated guitar players. One of these nights, I want to do that. I want to do one of these live streams, and we'll just go over some who I think are underrated players, and you guys can share guys that you feel are underrated too. Thought that could be fun. Oh, really? With Fleetwood Mac? Huh. Because Lindsey Buckingham, he's also on my list of underrated guitar players for sure. He's like really close to the top. All right, so we start off here on the 10th fret, and you do want to use your second finger. I mean, technically, I guess you could use your third finger, but to me, it just makes more sense to use my second finger. So we start here on the 10th fret, and we're going to pick that and slide to the 8th fret and then back to 10. So we only pick once. Whoops. So pick, slide, slide, and then we follow that with 9 on the G string. And so that's why we want to use our second finger here, so that way we're not having to cross our fingers over each other to find a note. So this is 1 and 2 and then that's tied to a quarter note. So it's part of beat 3. So 1 and 2 and 3, and then on the downbeat of 4, we're already there on the 9th fret of the G string. So we're going to do the same thing that we just did, more or less. We're going to pick this 9 and we're going to slide to 7 and then back to 9. But now the problem is we have to go there. So let me think again. Let me just play it so I can see which finger I'm using. It's so bizarre because I just never think about it. It's like my hands they just go on autopilot. Okay, middle finger. And then when we let that ring for beat 3, and then on beat 4, we pick it again. So I switch fingers. I switch back to my second finger. Because we're going to go 9, slide to 7, back to 9 to the 7th fret of the D string. And it's the same timing that like we did before. You're just not going to count it the same way, but we have like three 3/8 notes, and then like a dotted quarter note, like a beat and a half, 2 3/8 notes, dotted quarter note, 3/8 note. I mean, it's just kind of the same sequence, and it just keeps repeating. Now we're here on the D string, 7/5/7 slide, and then we end there on the 7th fret of the A string. So, whoops. Yeah, so that looks like that's how I was doing. I'm using my first finger and then cross over with my second finger to grab the 7th fret of the A string. So that's the first main big part of that. Now I just played it there. I didn't use the same fingers twice. See, that's I'm always preaching to people, students about consistency, and then sometimes I'm like so inconsistent with stuff like that because I can't walk and chew gum at the same time. I'm thinking about you guys while I'm doing it, and it causes me to screw that one more time. Whoops. All right, so that way works out pretty good. So remember so starting from that beginning part, we have and the rests. Now we're going to go up. We're going to rest that when we hit this, that's on the and of 4. And then we rest for the first beat of the next, what would that be? The 6, 7, the 8th measure. So we rest on 1, and then on the downbeat of 2, we have this where we're going to play. Oh, and crap, I didn't put on there to palm mute. All right, so this is something you're going to have to make yourself a note because I can see something I missed. We play, we're just barring the 5th fret of the high E, B, and the G string. But we want, so I'm like heavily muting so it gives that like rake sound into it. And then we go from there immediately. So this is 2 and I'm going to the 8th fret on the B string because now we're dealing with notes right out of that pentatonic scale, out of pattern number 1. So this is 2 and 3, 4 and. On the and of 4, we hit the 5th fret of the B string. Oh, I got to scroll. And then we rest on beat number 1 of measure 9. And then our first finger is still here on the 5th fret of the B string. So 2, and then on the and of 2, we go to the 7th fret on the G string. And then that rings out. We hit that. Let's see, so that's 1, 2 and 3, 4 and we rest on the and of 4, and then the riff starts over again at that point. And the second time through, it's almost exactly the same thing, but it does have some differences that we do want to look at. So oh my gosh. Whoops. Now it's going to start over again. So the thing that's different the second time, before we go on, does anybody have any questions about, that was kind of a big chunk of, we went from, just strumming a couple of chords to all this melody stuff being played in there. So does anybody have any questions about that, or anybody having any problems with it or whatever? Don't even ask. All right. Well, if I guess if you look at it after the like if you watch the rerun, you still have any questions or whatever, just hit me up. Okay, so the second time through, the first difference is that on that first one, instead of he does the same notes, the exact same timing, but instead of sliding 10, 8, 10, he does 10, pull to 8, hammer to back to 10. And then the rest of them are slides. Not exactly sure, why or how that came to be. And it's all, it's possible that I'm just wrong, but that's what it sounded like to me at the time when I did this. I made this transcription a long time ago. Love your noodling. Oh, thanks, Paul. I appreciate that. Yeah, I could just do that. I could just turn the camera on and just sit here and just noodle around for like 45 minutes and not talk or anything. If you guys want that. All right, yeah, so that second time, back to slides. Now we're going to do that same thing that we did before, but the difference now, oh crap, I got to change the next page. And I got to zoom it in so the old man can read it. Oh, damn it. Dang it. God. Okay, so we rest on one of the next measure, and then on the downbeat of 2, that 5 to 7. So and 2, 3, and then for beat 4, it's on the G string, 7 pull to 5 to the 7th fret of the D string, and that's a triplet. So and that's basically it. He does that same thing, through other times in the song, and then the solo is different. We're not gonna look at the solo, but this melody is really easy enough that even if you're a total beginner, if you just take it slow, don't worry about trying to play it fast in any way, shape, or form. Just work on take it a piece at a time. I think a lot of times beginners. And and I know that a lot of times beginners do this because I watch it with like my private lessons, is that and it's worse now because of the internet, because of like YouTube. People watch a video and they think, oh well, because so and so is doing this, I should be able to do this. Like right now, oh look, that kid's only 12 years old, well I should be able to do this right now. It doesn't matter. Everybody is different. So we just break it right down to a really small thing. Just do this much. Take your middle finger, put it on the 10th fret of the B string, and pick, slide to 8, and back up. Just do that. If you can do that, you got this. Jersey, you paying attention? And then just follow that with the 9th fret on the G string. So just play that much of it. Just old man, I'm still a pup. Yeah, I think you can stop calling me a pup when if I converted my age to dog years, it would be, 6 figures. So yeah, so just try that much of it. Work, even if you're and keep playing it. You can learn how to play anything if you just break it down and work it slow. Now, this isn't a really great example for what I'm about to say because this isn't like terribly difficult, but like if I like stuff that I really super admire right now that I hear and to me it's just actual mind blowing, amazing is Polyphia. You've probably heard me talk about Polyphia before. Those guitar players are super dope. They're really good. They play so differently than I do. I mean, well, first of all, they're 1,000 times better than I am, but I mean, just their style and everything is so far different from how I play that's like an obstacle in itself, and that can be with any bands or whatever. But anyway, I could learn how to play some of their stuff. I could get the notes down. I could play the transitions. Am I necessarily going to be able to play it at tempo ever? No, because it's beyond my skill level. Now, that doesn't mean that I would just go, nope, I'm not going to try and just give up on it. But just accepting that is good, because then when I play it, I don't feel all miserable and feel like I've failed because I can't play it at the tempo that they're doing it, or some of the crazy arpeggios they do that my fingers, for whatever reason, don't want to do that. It's supposed to be fun. We're just, playing guitar for fun. So, don't make it tough. Don't make it to something that it doesn't need to be. Competition can be good. It can improve you. But don't let it, like ruin you. I mean, everybody, I would say 99% of people want to play, they want to pick up guitar. They pick it up for the first time because they love music and they want to be able to play a Tom Petty song, or they grew up listening to Led Zeppelin and really liked it, or they're 10 years old right now and they heard Polyphia and thought it was amazing, or any of the other, just whatever it might be. Very few people that are like, oh, I really want to learn play because I want to do a bunch of exercises and, be able to do finger acrobatics. And I'm not knocking any of that stuff. I've spent, the majority of my life trying to do it. Not really successfully, but, but still, tried. Oh, hey, Zeppelin fan. Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah. I don't know. I think a lot of people just miss out on the joy of the instrument. And believe me, I am guilty of doing this. I'm not, I'm pointing my finger at me. I mean, I am totally guilty of doing this, and I still struggle with it. I think it's something that everybody does, but don't throw in the towel on a song like this because you think that you can't play because, for whatever reason. Do just like what I said. Just break it down. Break it down, break it down. There we go again. That's twice now that came up. Well, 3 times if you count the whoever said it originally. I don't remember. I could look back through the thing, but I guess it doesn't really matter. I'm rambling at this point. All right, so yeah, just work it. Whoops. Just work it really slow like that. Work one, and once you can go, then try the second one. So when we go to the second one, if you think of them as like separate little riffs, there's 1, there's 2, there's 3. So it's basically the same thing. You were just moving down. just moving down through the scale. So just work on each one separately. This might be something that takes you a little time to get. Some people might pick up on this really quick because of experience, or some people just have like a lot of like almost supernatural natural ability. I'm not one of those people, but I've seen it. I've had students before that can learn stuff in one lesson that literally took me months to do. But then I've seen other people take months to do something that I would have done in a day. Everybody's going to be different, so there's really no there's no rule of measurement for this. Just be you and play, and be happy with with what you can do. That's how I finally got She Talks to Angels, a little piece at a time. Yeah, Crit. That's just the way it works. Oh, you're welcome, Detuned. Thank you. I appreciate it. I have no idea where all this come from. Like I told you, I don't really plan what I'm going to do. 6 hours ago, I was having massive anxiety about even doing it in the first place, but I'm glad that I didn't let that win, and that I'm here. I still made up to play full speed, but I can lay it now. You can lay it now. Oh, play, not lay. Okay, I get you. Yeah, so just break each part down into a little piece like that. Here's something that I tell my students that, hopefully, I might as well keep going. Hopefully it will be helpful to you guys too. Usually it's like, for the most part, it seems like it's kids more that I have to say this to than adults, because usually adults, by the time you're in adulthood and you've been being beaten by the world, going to work and whatnot, you're already down with the idea that Rome wasn't built in a day. But younger people tend to not think that as much. I used to surf the net for lessons. So kind of sticking with the teacher that ministers to you as well. Oh, you teach well. Thank you. Oh, well, thank you, Paul. I really appreciate that. Wow, thank you. Yeah, so I always ask kids like, oh, have you ever been to a concert? And if they have, I'll say like, who did you go see? And I remember this one kid, the most recent kid that I did this with, I think most recent anyway, he had went and seen, it was like the Eagles or somebody like that, or Kansas. It was some kind of like an older act that he like went with his, like with his parents or something. I don't remember the exact. But anyway, let's just say, for the sake of argument, let's just say it was the Eagles. So I said, oh, that must have been awesome. Yeah, it sounded great. They were up there playing. It was so cool. And I said, how did they play Hotel California? Oh, I hope I don't get demonetized because I said that out loud on YouTube. But yeah. And so then I put it into perspective. I said, okay, do you have any idea when that song came out? They're like, no. And I says, that song's is, just about as old as me. It's been out, for a long time. And I said, how many times do you think, or I says, on this tour, how many tour dates? Oh, it was a big world tour. It took 2 years for them to do the whole tour. Okay. So they played, a bunch of shows. They played that every night, and they played it every night on every other tour over the last 50 years. They played the song a gajillion times. Do you think that it's something they get super excited about doing? But when they're out there playing it, they're nailing it, and you're loving it and stuff. So I go, when you learn something, by the time you can really play a song and you can really nail it, you're sick of it. That's just kind of the nature of it. So that's what will happen with these, beginners, is they get frustrated because they can't do it right away, because they think they should be able to because of, YouTube videos and stuff, or whatever reason. I'm not going to blame YouTube. But that's what it takes. You really have to be able to play it you have to, play it a million times to really be able to play it really, really well. And then by the time you're sick of it. So it's just kind of part of it. It just kind of goes with it. But then when you do it and you really can play it and it sounds good and people come up and they pat you on the back or pay you, whatever the case may be, then it makes it all worthwhile. Or if it's a thing that it's just because you really, really love the song or riff or whatever it is that you're trying to do. Creeper Attack 23. And it's a poop. Oh, I take it that Creeper Attack 23 doesn't like my live stream. Oh. All right, that's cool. It's not for everybody. All right, yeah. So anyway, that is my my TED Talk for today, and that's. Oh, I guess we still need to go over the chorus. I do not believe that we went over the chorus, right? I don't think that we did, but even if we did, I'll just go over it again. It'll only take a second. But anyway, so when it goes into the chorus, coming out of the verse, it's that same thing where you hit the F and you let it ring out for 2 measures. And then when it goes into the chorus, it's the A minor and it's on beat 1. So it's like 1, 2, and 3, and then we rest on force. On force. We rest on force. We're being forced to rest. We rest on beat 4. So to F, and now it's the same timing. Back to G. So we just go A minor, G, F, G, and then it just repeats. So just. Now, if I was playing it just by myself and maybe, trying to, just do like a little acoustic campfire rendition of it or whatever, you wouldn't want to just leave that because it doesn't really have any kind of a flow or anything. So at that point, then I would just change, put that mute strum in there. So it just keeps doing that. Break down, break down. And then it just goes to an F again, and it rings out for 8 beats. It's all right. Hits it again, and then and then after the chorus, just depending on which chorus it is, it goes to whatever in the song. So that's basically the. Like the parts. And the big thing I wanted to do was that melody line and stuff. I remember when I was a beginner, there was all these things that I heard that, I had a list of things I wanted to be able to play. And what's really funny is that I don't have that list anymore, but I remember a lot of the stuff that was on there, and there's so much of it that I still don't know how to play. I just never got around to it. But because as you start playing and you progress, your musical tastes will change. Not necessarily that you're going to stop wanting to listen to a certain type of music, but it'll expand, I guess I should say. And so then some of the stuff that I wanted to learn how to play wasn't nearly as important anymore. All right. So does anybody have any questions about this or any other, just guitar related stuff or whatever? We still got a couple of minutes here. And if you like what I'm doing, you like the content, share some love. Hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe to the channel. Leave comments. Like after this is over, go on to the rerun. Leave comments there. Like the video. All that stuff. It all helps with that algorithm thing, and then helps Guitar Control to know that I'm doing a good job and I can keep doing this for you. I'm the only live stream that you watch for guitar. If that's the case, you should, there's so many that's like probably my favorite part about YouTube is just all of the people that I've seen, players that I've heard, and just stuff that I probably never would have known about. I mean, when I was young, you know, before the internet and stuff, like, you know, I was in the high and the peak of having a big ego, you know, when I'm 20 something, I always thought, you know, that I was more than I am, because there just wasn't, you couldn't see everything, you know, I was isolated. So I felt like I was a big fish in a small pond, I guess. And now it's just like, I'm not even like the barnacles stuck to the bottom of some other players out there. They're just amazing. Yeah, so there, Michael Manning, and then there's like some kind of an emoji or whatever after it, but it's just a square. I don't know what that means. All right, well, guys, I think so. Calm down, calm down. I appreciate it, really, I do. Is this the biggest follow guitar live stream? Not even close. But I feel like I got, you know, some core people and stuff, and it's, you know, it's fun. All right, well, if nobody has any questions or anything, then I think I'm gonna wrap this up. But I really do appreciate everybody coming out here and you know, supporting the channel, and you know, hope you're getting stuff out of these lessons. I enjoy it when after I talk myself into doing it. I have a good time, but I struggle with it often. All this behind the scenes stuff that you don't see. All right. Well, again, thank you everybody for coming out. I really appreciate it. If you like the video, thumbs up, subscribe. Like I said, I do this live stream every week, and then 2 or 3 just like lessons on the YouTube channel every week. So yeah, subscribe so you don't miss any of that stuff. And thanks again for coming out, everybody. I really appreciate it. And I will see you guys next week. Have a great one, everybody.